Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 287, and today we're going to be doing battle with the Acoustician. And so I'll try my best, Acoustician. I'll try my best to say this as well as I can, but as people know, sometimes the powers that be, when they're rolling your character sheet of life, they have to put the ones and the twos and the threes somewhere, right? We all hope that we get the 19s and 20s and the good stats, but those low rolls got to land somewhere, and the powers that be decided that I would not be able to say words good. And so they landed me with this really sweet accent. They got me out here saying stuff like Vigio and Emperor's Diaz and the like, and I'll try my best to do Acoustician as good as I can, but y'all know I'm going to butcher it as the as the video goes on. But I think it's a worthwhile endeavor here at the end of the Darkened Saga World Ender to kind of investigate some of these cards that may not have completely seen the light of day. And I think Acoustician is a very powerful idea and concept. It doesn't matter the cost of the cards that you're generating out of this thing. If you can activate this ability more than once, then you're getting a pretty decent deal. And if you can activate it just trading with another card, then that's a pretty good deal. But if you can, manage to get yourself in this space to where you get 2 or 3 strikes out of this with a fairly small investment, then you've really built a pretty strong engine at a pretty cheap cost. And so, as you kind of want to brew with this, you have to kind of ask yourself, okay, do I have a way that this can either survive in combat, right? So we can just naturally throw it out into the combat space and have it win or survive if it's on the blocking end, or do we have a way to just kind of come out and get strikes with this? And the PNZ Demacia package really helps us bring this into light. And so both the Darken Aegis and the Darken Harp give us fantastic ways to have our unit have the survivability with the quick attack on the attacks out of the Harp, the tough and the +1 health out of the Darken Aegis for just kind of general survivability, and then that tying back in to a strike card in itself with the fish fight. And so if we are out here looking to play these various equipments, then that kind of starts to push you into the lands of Vayne, which can also be useful in terms of the Acoustician, as we maybe tumble it away on the opponent's turn, find an additional way to get a strike, and then get an additional spell. And so it's a pretty nice set of synergies between the Acoustician, the fish fight, the various equipment, and Vayne. And then it's just a matter of kind of trying to wrap that into a remaining kind of cohesive shell. And so where we kind of go from there is 2 separate directions. We know from playing things like Aatrox Vayne that the likes of Blinding Assault and Petricite Broadwing work very nicely with these equipment as well. If we don't have the Acoustician to generate a bunch of spells, then we can at least hopefully win some combats and get some big board presence. And then that ties into the second piece of the deck, which is just making usage of Champion Strength. And so we have seen a bit of usage in recent times along with the Forge Chief and Acorn to help cheapen up the Champion Strength. I like the ideas still that Acorn can cheapen up the spells that we generate out of the Acoustician, and then it can also cheapen up the spells generated by Pharaoh's Fancier. And so we have a lot of tie-in with it, and then the Forge Chief plays into these abilities nicely as well. If we give it a Darken Harp, it can potentially get multiple attacks in, generating us more mana, but if it comes down, just makes a trade and gives us a mana back, that does still help tie into playing these equipment and units in the same turn. And so, a nice little bit of synergies, nice combos going on here, if you will. And that's what we're going to be doing battle with today. So let's go. Let's go ahead and head on in. The pay-to-win price has been paid, so we can get on in to battle. Good old Acoustician, sitting around the campfire, pulling out the old guitar, singing a little Kumbaya. Everybody loves to have this guy show up. He gets invited to all the parties, And so let's see how it goes. See if he gets invited to this Trundlemere party. What can we do? Reasonable enough start with the Broadwing. Always scary with these Broadwings and Darken Aegis kind of starts up against decks that are packing Quietus, but you got to just mulligan for the early game and hope for the best. I'm not going to be like, ooh, I better mulligan for my 3-cost cards just so that or my 3-power cards just so that we can survive a Quietus. You gotta have some early game plays regardless of the bad potential that can turn up. All the Broadwings turning up today. So give me those birds, yo. All right, he doesn't doesn't seem to have one just yet, and I want to go ahead and just get the power on the board. Opponent wants to play a mana crystal card this turn, whether or not it generates the unit or the heal 3 thing. He definitely doesn't want to be playing removal spells. There it goes. It's got him a Feral Mystic on the board now. All right, combat time. Got a kitty wanting to hang out too. Let's see if he jumps up here. Oh, we got him. Got him, this guy. This guy, as you see me struggle to pick him up, we've had to get him on a weight loss plan. He's a very delightful fella, but he's gotten a little chunky in the recent days, and having to try and help him lose a little bit of that weight, aren't we, friend? But I had to get an automatic feeder. That's been a bit of a interesting adventure, and that my favorite thing with this guy now is he'll be way on the other side of the house. The automatic feeder's way over on this end. We're hanging out way over on the other side, and then as the feeder goes off, it makes a noise with the food just kind of crashing into the bowl, and he goes nutsos. He gets so hype, just gets super excited, runs all the way across the house. It's fucking delightful. So he's at least getting himself in a little bit of exercise in these rough times for the little kitties. But here we have a decision to make. Do we really want to get involved into combat here, lose something to Trundle? And I think I'm okay with that. We're realistically just gonna try and play Champion Strength and then hope that we don't get popped by a Buried in the Ice. And so we can pretty reasonably fill out our board still. And I think the question here comes down to, do we want to pull the equipment back into our hand so we can play it on something else? And I mean, we probably don't. We're not gonna I guess you can look at it one way as kind of being like, well, if he gets a Harsh Winds, right, then that's going to be a little bit more challenging to play if we have the Jaral on the board. But I think I'm really just looking to add Quinn and then open with the Champion Strength next turn, and picking up the equipment gets a little bit expensive in that sense. All right, and then does he ever just not attack with Trundle? Like, if we pass, I don't want him to, like, just see us play Quinn and then be like, oh, the coast is clear, let's fuck him up. Like, I want him to have to at least do a little bit of something before we start adding to the board. Oh, geez. Okay. Well, he did something. He had another form of the AoE. GG. No way to get out in front of that. All right, on to the next one. Also worried with that kitty. He seemed to be doing okay. I was hanging out with some other kitties today. I was delivering some pets to kitties that that live in a different household. I'm sure he was just smelling the kitty flavors all over me. All right, what can we do here? We'll hang on to the Broadwing. It starts to be like a little tempting looking at these Ranger defectors, as we know we're going to be in another fairly mid-rangey battle against Jax Ornn, but that feels a little greedy. It's like the big blowout cards that come out of things like Jax Ornn are the Furious Forge. I don't know what the fuck it's called. It's the 5 mana thing that does the 2 damage of AoE along with the double forge. Having that come in and just smoke our team is going to cause a problem, and then having those tough units is nice to be able to survive that kind of thing. But I think it's a little greedy to make that our core game plan. All right, though, Broadwing in. Not too strong on this board, but give it a shot. Okay. Got to try and get some of this stuff cleared out. We can't just let him build up a board and not do anything about it. All right, what did you pick up? He gets the Overwhelm. Then he's going to forge and have a 3 attack unit. Nothing that we can really do about that, so let's just go ahead and add Vayne. I'll leave him on board and see if we can't take him down next turn. Need an equipment real bad, though. We got an Acoustician. The namesake of our deck is here, but he's not helping on this board too much. I'm leaning towards like playing Reggie and getting an expensive spell while also having Acorn on board to see if we can't get it down a little faster. Shitty spells. These are not the spells we were looking for. I'm leaning towards the Redoubled Valor. We could make a 4/6 Acoustician. Has to be the assembly line. Kind of a bummer. All right, what you got for us, Metal Fortune TTV? Bring us something good.
Let's get to work.
Well, we shouldn't have to worry about the AoEs at 4 mana. Like, if we end up trading for a Troll Chant here, like, how bad is that? I don't think we care about that either. If we had a Champion Strength in hand, then I wouldn't want to trade Troll Chant for this stuff, but given the cards that we have, I think it would have been okay. We just got to stop here. I guess we could send in Vayne. Like, what happens if we send Vayne? He just, like, blocks with the Castaway, and then he re-equips over onto Gnar. The thing we're about to have happen is, like, we're just going to run out of space. I'll send her in. Oh, no. She has been deaded. Now there's the Champion Strength. Well, we're going to be casting that next turn. There's no way around it. I'm not really worried about this Gnar coming in. That's not that big of a deal. He does have access to like the Pokey Stick now, so he can take down a Pharaoh's Fancier or something, but I mean, we just have to get out of this turn with a 3-bank, so we might as well play the Acoustician, right? Come in and draw all the spells when we do the Champion Strength stuff. I definitely have to open with it now that he has the Ram Stance in hand. All right, do something big, please. We're counting on you, Champion Strength. If he has some interaction here, then we are fucked. Still a lot of nastiness going on with this giant Gnar. Man, that's pretty lame. Let's be real. Pretty lame. Oh, we have a point of mana now, though. Does that change anything? We're about to get another point. I don't think it changes anything. We can still look to fish fight Gnar, if that's the way that the turn is going to go. And he doesn't get involved. Okay. But, I mean, I think we're still reasonably strong. Oh, shit. Gnar has a... Gnar just has the lethal built up. I guess that's it. Lame. People these days, man. People these days. You're supposed to let us just play our big expensive cards and immediately lose to them. That's the way it's supposed to go. Alright, next battle though. Irelia Gwen coming at us. So let's hang on to Reggie, hang on to the Blinding Assault. This is a deck to where it's tough to say whether or not they're going to be playing Vile Feasts. They typically do, but if they don't have a Vile Feast to answer a Blinding Assault and then we pick up an equipment to go along with it, it's a deck you can very easily take advantage of their board. But don't have any of those good equipments just yet, so I think I'm okay to trade. It's one of these spaces to where If they're playing the Black Flame, which you're typically going to see that out of Irelia Gwen, there's a pretty big incentive to keep their board empty. So, like, they need the unit on the board to eat with the Black Flame, and then they need another unit to attack. So if you can keep them to just one unit, then the trade works out kind of nicely. Also be kind of nice to draw an equipment. I wonder what that feels like.
Demons walk among us, masquerading as men.
You just get so used to playing like 10 equipment and playing a playing that predict unit that's really cheap. Though the 1-mana predict guy amongst all that, and it's just painful to have to naturally draw all this stuff. Alright, well, can we trade out our Vayne? He's not doing anything else.
Very well.
We just gotta get time here. Alright, well, it's the it's the Acorn party today, apparently. Oh, just getting savaged. So brutal. Just like, so much of our strategy hinges on picking up equipment, and I don't know if we've even drawn one in these games. I guess we did in the first one, right? We had that Broadwing equipment game. Was that the last one? But very painful. Alright, Acorns, cheapen up that tumble. Not an equipment. It's like, well, you know, if we pick up an equipment and we can put it on the Ranger Knight, then that starts to feel a little bit better. But didn't get there. Let's at least just be efficient with our mana. We can drop the Ranger Knight. If he has another unit, we can get a fearsome, or we could get it in front of the fearsome, but doesn't feel very worthwhile here. If we actually draw a good card, we can have a pretty powerful attack with it next turn, but I don't feel like that's even really going to be enough here. All right, well, we got to get our namesake on the board, right? Quietus number 3? Is that what this is going to be? Oh, Vile Feast. Okay. All right, I guess.
Well, we're all booked, but if you just need a tune-up...
You just need a tune-up, bro. How bad is this? Fucking getting savaged. All right. It's just been painful game after painful game. All right, can we survive a turn? Maybe do a champion strength? Maybe? Maybe? Have something go right? Can't imagine something would go right. It's just, that's too much to ask for. Are we just dead? Is that what's happening here again? Oh my god, we are getting brutalized. All right. Market is 0-3. Play me a sad song on the Campfire tunes. That Acoustician is really struggling out here today. Say, come on, bro. You need to upgrade to the electric guitar. Get you one of those little pedals and a whammy thing. That's what you got to be doing out here, friend. Oh my god, we found an equipment. And it was the good one at that. Bonkers. Bonkers. Let's see what we can do. This looks like Red Gwen. He's not going to be all in on the Katarinas. I think I'd feel a little bit better if he was all in on Katarina. So it would let us kind of build up better into this champion's strength. All right. Quietus everywhere. Perfect draw on Acorn. It's like it's fairly ignorable if we drop the Broadwing, put the Harp on it, and he just takes 3 damage. But if we get to spend all of our mana doing Broadwing, Harp, and Acorn, we might get a good round of combats next turn.
A brief engagement, but a joyous one.
Alright, taking it. Not taking it. Cool. +2 health for Team Bust. Who do we got here? Phantom Butler. Alright. How can this go wrong now? It's just after everything we've been through in these previous games, it feels like nothing is going to go right here. And so, let's see. Oh my God, are we gonna win a combat? Oof, oof. Mark your calendars. Mark them. We don't have anything else to do for the next few turns. Don't ignore that part. But we had one turn go somewhat successfully, and I'm hype, very hype. Alrighty, Gwen coming in, never blocking her. Guess we can add the fancier before combat if we want. Are we ever even blocking anything here? Probably not. We can block the... I like Hexbliterator. We can block the Boisterous Host this round if we want. We might need to. The Sentinel doesn't grow without a Spell Slay, so don't have to worry about it too much. Okay. Little bit of a bank, sure. Something cool. Vayne, she's kind of cool. Can't attack with her this turn though, so we'll play her after combat. If it comes down to it, just like Hexbliterating a Gwen seems pretty decent. I don't care about the Gwen getting a Snip Snap next turn. Like I'll take the 2 damage to get the Hexbliterator then. But I mean, I guess we can potentially use the Tumble next turn.
Demons walk among us, masquerading as men.
Potentially. Here it comes. Says I'm ready to bring it. Alright, so we probably gotta block some of this stuff now, right? Probably have to. How much is that? Just taking 7? It's like, I don't want to just like die to a rally, right? I don't think this deck is probably going to be packing Shunpos, but it's a real problem if they have that kind of stuff. Let's block Gwen just in case. Shouldn't be anything that gets Gwen out of this combat, but if he's like, here's double +2/+2 ephemeral to take her up to 10-8 or whatever, we just die. I'd prefer to not just die. So we'll throw the block out in front of her. We messed this up though. We should have just blocked the Spiderling, right? If we want to tumble this turn. Unless with them we want to tumble with Acorn. Maybe I'm okay with an Acorn tumble. Cheapen up this champion strength down to 6. Maybe we'll be playing it next turn. Really prefer to have another elusive friend to go along with him, but maybe there's something there. But I was gonna say, as like I stopped to think about it, it was like, well, maybe we should have put a point of damage onto. Oh, I don't have the mana. Shit. I was gonna say maybe we should have taken some damage and thrown it in front of the Spiderling, but that's tough. We're really hurting now, though. Just having absolutely no units has been a real pain in the dick. I can already tell you what's going to happen. We're going to put the Darkened Harp onto Vayne, and then he's just going to play the 4-cost guy that gives him a free attack, and then we're not going to have the mana to stop him from flipping this Katarina, and the game is going to be done. That's the world we live in at this point. But we gotta try something. Okay, well. Could have gone worse, I guess. I was expecting the previous turn to be a damage and then a Ravenous Flock. So I guess he doesn't have Ravenous Flock whatsoever. Can't block with our Vayne, so we're gonna need to use. Yeah, just. I think this will either bring back Quinn, right? She'd be the strongest dead ally. We don't have any 6-power units to take down the Eternal Dancers, though. Was it Gwen? Yep. Looks like that's gonna do it. GG. Phew, brutal. Just running into the worst of it. How many Quietus have we played against today? I feel like I've gotten hit by like 6 or 7 Quietuses over the course of 4 games, which, yeah, it's not unreasonable, I guess, but it's certainly been a bit of a problem, kind of combined with not drawing any equipment. And so, rough day. All right, what do we got here, though? Gwen Alawi. We haven't seen Alawi in quite a while. We're going to hang on to the Acoustician. I feel good. Look at that. That's what we're doing, right? This is it. This is the path to greatness. We're going to get the double Acoustician, double Darken Harp. He's playing his acoustic harps and shit out here. Has to be the path to success. Has to be. Sure. I did the mathematics on this one, bro. It's all good for us. Here it comes. Here it comes. Are you ready? Acoustician. Coming in. He stops to read the card. Darken Harp. All right. Combo time. Now, there is a realistic chance that we should have loaded up the Forge Chief with the equipment and then followed up with the fish fight once we got the mana back. But he's dropping in blocks already. That feels fairly positive. I think we want to fish fight the tentacle off of the board, though. Well, it's just going to grow anyways, right? Maybe we just take down the Prodigy. Do we even want to bother unequipping? I guess that's a real question. It's not going to kill our unit. I think that's good. I want to keep our unit at 4 power so that it can trade with a tentacle if it has to. Steel Tempest. All right. All right. There's no denying it. Look how much value we're picking up these days. Some people would say this is the most value anyone has ever generated in their entire life, and it feels pretty good. I'm not surprised we're getting blown up by heavy metal. That's just the way... That's just the way our day's going today, but not bad, I guess. Can't block now, sure. All right, let's try this again. Try this again. Give me a little bit of Darken Harp out here. Ooh, another fish fight. The combos cycle back. Look out, Alawi. Look out. Coming in. Ain't no stopping us now. She got Sumpworks map. Gonna be giving our bro a little bit of elusive. I dig it. Gonna return the equipment now. I want to put the Aegis onto him. Let him do a little bit of blocking. Where'd you go? Oh my gosh, I've never seen so much value in my life. It feels good, man. Feels good. Most value 2023 coming from the Acoustician. Feels nice. We ever want a husk before we drop the fancier? It seems like a little much. What's for the Fallen? When you summon an elite, reduce my cost. Yeah. Then for each ally that died, summon a Dauntless Vanguard. Yeah, we'll just take the Remembrance. We can get real spells off of Remembrance, especially if both of our units die this turn. So what is this? A 4/6 Alawi? Sure. Okay. Looking to take 4. Alright, took 1. Now, the problem that we have is we need to win this game with champion strength, and we don't have any units. So that makes it a little tougher. I was kind of thinking in my head, like, well, what happens if we just let both of our units die and then drop Remembrance? But that doesn't feel super positive. Maybe that should have been our route, because we just don't have anything to do now. All right, we'll go this way. We're gonna load up the Acoustician. How does this thing work? They hit each other, right? But we don't have any. You don't have any boosts. Obliterate an ally. Okay. Never played this card in my entire life, so let's seal and steal. We'll let the tentacle grow. I think that's okay. What's this cost? Oh, we lose our equipment? And we can't, that card is dumb. We can still slam Giral into Alawi here. Hopefully that's enough to carry us for a bit, but I didn't like how that sequence panned out. All right, though. We can make it through this turn pretty easily. I think we have a stun to stop some amount of the board. Another Alawi. Well, it seemed easier there for a moment. Remembrance is all we got at this point. Alright, so the tentacle doesn't have Overwhelm. That's where we're going to have to throw a unit. The Steel Tempest for Alawi. Alright, I think that's where we stand. Not going to have a way to kill with Champion Strength next turn, though. Oh, maybe we do we? How close are we? We're 1 mana short of casting it, but it would have been enough with Acorn, right? Do we have to just play it? That doesn't seem too logical. We do have this just big equipment thing in hand we're going to use to try and take down Alawi with. So that's going to give us a little bit of something here. I mean, I guess there is a world to where we could look to say, like, put the equipment onto Acorn, attack, that's 5, the next turn tumble the Acorn in. But that strikes me as a little off. We do have the Sumpworks map as well. That leaves us 1 short. Let's see if we hit. We're onto the. Oh, we're making Daybreak cards. We should have played this thing first. I'm gonna say if we hit on that, like the Nightfall cards, you could hit either an Unspeakable Horror or you could hit a You could hit Unspeakable Horror, or you could hit Pale Cascade, and then we could have got to 10 damage as well. But if he doesn't have a way to get overwhelmed, then he shouldn't be able to kill us on this turn. Right, we can take down a Lowy and just block stuff. Alright, game. Give us a shot. Give us a chance. I don't think we're scared of Gwen. He says, oh, fuck. Oh, fuck, I'm about to get boomed, aren't I? He's just gonna go, LOL, watch this bust. It's an atrocity. It's an atrocity. Can't wait for that to hit. All right. Eye of Nagakaboros doesn't scare me. All right, so can we want to go for it this turn? Right, we have this Sumpworks map into Tumble. I guess we have to worry about him having a. He's already played one Tentacle Slam. I guess he could kill Geralt with the. He doesn't have the mana for the expensive spell, the Riptide Sermon. Alright, here it comes. Fuck! Make it rain. Alright, why would you do that? Does that do anything? I don't know if that does anything. Alright. Got some damages. Oh, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Are we gonna do it? Gotta open. Can't let him play a slow. Ooh, get out of here, fam. Not gonna 0-8 us today. All right, GG. Feels good pulling down a victory. GG. All right, so we achieved victory. Let's get one more game in. See if we can't get a second. We'll call it a day with this this heap, this pile, this monstrosity that we're having a little bit of unsuccess with. Okay, up against old Trundlemere. Gave us some trouble earlier. See if we can't turn that around. And so it's kind of tough with this match. Like, I almost want to try and just like high roll it and keep the champion strength and see if we can't find a Forge Chief or find Acorn to go along with it. Just have one of those potential high roll draws, but that's too greedy. You can't be doing that. Reasonable start though. I mean, the Forge Chief unopposed, a good curve. We have an equipment. We have a interactive spell. Although fish fights aren't super incredible in this match. It's kind of nice. Feels like a change of pace having cards that aren't just being garbage. All right, going for it. Reasonable idea to just open attack here in the face of something like Avalanche. It's just only cutting us down by like 3 points of damage, and so I think it's safe. Again, this is like on these turn 3s, the opposing deck really wants to either play Catalyst of the Aeons or play the Mana Gem card, and so we should be pretty safe there. A lot of the lists going into seasonals of Trundlemere just played weird stuff. They play like 2 copies of Avalanche, 0 copies of Blighted Ravine, and then just have absolutely no early game whatsoever. So it's tough to tell if this guy's going to be that greedy. But we got a pretty strong open next turn. Feels like we're just going to go for this big open and then he'll just full clear us anyways. But let's see what we can do. I'm going to hit him for about 9 here and then not do anything the rest of the game. Pretty choice. I see the Giral in the back line. That's really tempting to try and drop him in, but this feels a little too risky at the end of the day. We got our combos in here, though. We got the Acoustician, we got the Tumble. If we need to re-attack and pick up a spell, we can do it. Pretty sweet. We're going to do it. We're going to bring it if he does something dumb here. Wild Mysticism? Sure. We can get a fresh Tumble next turn. Do we want to actually just go ahead and fish fight this guy? Like, we're done with the value out of the Acoustician. Let's do it. Just try and guarantee that we get the damage in, and then if we're not thinking too crazy here, we could realistically next turn put like the Darkened Harp onto. Is that the way? Do you just want to do it with the harp? We'll just go for the bigger Tumble with Vayne. Does still give us that chance. Like I was just forgetting about putting the equipment onto board, thinking we'd Tumble Vayne for 3 and then say Tumble Acorn next turn with the equipment going onto it. But oh man, see if he just plays Feel the Rush, right? We just win. That feels like a pretty decent spot to be in when you know you just outright win the game if your opponent plays Feel the Rush. So maybe we'll get it. Maybe we'll do it. Hit the stairs. That's a little bit more painful. a little bit more problematic. What do these do? Got to check on these 2-cost spells. They don't do anything. Okay. So now, is there a world to where we put Giral in? And then we can win with a Vile Feast. I think trying to win with the Vile Feast is probably a little bit too greedy. I mean, yeah, if he has Frostbites or whatever, then we're gonna fall apart. Felt so much better having that elusive. It's so much more challenging for him to get around it. Let's see what we can make him do. Things like Buried in Ice are kind of scary here, and so I don't want to be stuck to where we have a board full of Entombs, and then we can't put units on the board because we have the Ephemerals and we have the Quinn trying to summon units, the Vile Feast. I want to get him to Buried in the Ice these bad units, and then we can overwrite them with the Forge Chief and the Quinn. But you think, Wolf? You can't stop this board with the harsh winds, and so might be able to get around his shenanigans. Uh-oh. Thinking on it real hard. Let's play that Feel the Rush. It's another one. It's another one where we just beat Feel the Rush. He wants to play it real bad, you can tell. Buried in Ice. Okay. We can manage that. So here's Quinn. Again, Quinn makes summons. I want to get the summon on board first, and then we can follow up with the Forge Chief. Can't get the Vile Feast on board anymore, but it's okay. This might be enough. Team play Avalanche. Oh, we did it. We did it. Good job, team. We got there at the end. And so, interesting stuff. Like, I have a hard time telling with this deck as to where there's the issue with kind of like half-assing things, right? As to where you're trying to do too many things at once with your deck, and you really want to just be doing one thing really well. And it's kind of tough to tell with this as to where is it too much to where you're playing all these challenger units and the equipment, and then the Vayne, and then the Acoustician and the like. It feels like we're just trying to do a little bit too much. And then even if things are going right with the Acoustician, it doesn't really kind of tie into the strategy that you're trying to do at the end of the day. And so it's kind of tough to decide with him in the sense that, like, if he was a 3/3, he would be pretty nutsos. I think he would be pretty good. It's just so much easier for him to come down and trade and then put a spell in your hand. That's what you're like really looking for at the end of the day, right? Is you just get that like little extra bit of value out of him, and he trades and he's done. You're not really looking for these games to where you put the harp on him and draw 2 cards and play a fish fight and draw another card. Like, that's not really the ask. It's kind of cool if you could pull it off and get those spells going, but you're really at the end of the day just trying to put him on the board and trade and then get a spell back out of it. But you have too many times to where it just goes wrong, as to where he's too small. He doesn't trade with anything, or he doesn't even get a strike in. And so it's like you play the dude, and then they hit him with get excited, and you didn't even get a card back out, and that feels pretty terrible as well. And so it's kind of tough for him, like being in P and Z, as they don't combat well. They're easily the worst combat faction in the game, and he really needs the combats to go well. And so I don't think I'm too upset. I hate Seraphine so much anyways that the Seraphine support cards being less than optimal sounds good to me. But man, I could assure you if this card was in the core set, it would most certainly be a 3/3 and be much more relevant into the current spectrum of the game. But at the end of the day, I think it was reasonable. I think if you can come up with some kind of like global way to give him +1 attack that doesn't take a whole lot of effort, like I'm not saying go out there and play Spirits Unleashed, but if there was some kind of like P and Z kind of card that would boost all of your units' attack and you just wanted to be playing all this stuff incidentally, it would be fine. But at the end of the day, I think he's just too small stat-wise. Again, the perfect and ideal thing with this is when you play it, you trade, you draw a card, and that game plan is just kind of too tough to pull off. And if that game plan is too tough to pull off, then you're probably looking at something that isn't that spectacular. But nonetheless, I think he was worth looking into. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. So this is Bust, and we thank you for being here.